Welcome back to the Unfinished TBR. Raise your glasses of apple juice with us.
This is tart. Are you sure?
It is Tropicana.
That's some sketchy Tropicana. I don't know.
I thought Tropicana was orange juice.
They have apple juice too. They have all kinds of juices.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, this is our first episode of the new year. So welcome to 2025. How'd we get here? As we're filming this, we have not celebrated Christmas yet. So before we get started on our top 5 of the year, I have a very special surprise for you guys. It's
a Happy Meal.
I have a Christmas present for you guys that
We haven't.
No, this is for the podcast.
You're not allowed.
Well, I wish you would have told me. I would have done something too.
Lady, no. I am so excited about this. I literally just could not wait. And I knew this was going to be our last filming session. So, and I get to open this too because I'm in the middle. All right.
It's a cupcake.
It's a pencil box.
Any more guesses?
Let me.
It's the thing the wax comes in when you have bracelets.
Wait, no. It's a book. It's a book.
It's got
stamp.
an Unfinished TBR sticker on it. What is that?
It's a book stamp. It's like the library of the Unfinished TBR.
Does it make stickers?
It embosses the page.
How cute!
And it's our symbol.
Gimme.
Let me get it.
I'm gonna bring all my
situated.
I'm gonna bring all my books.
I love it.
Our very first one, we have done
cute.
2 book clubs so far as a podcast.
Yay!
So our very first one that we're going to emboss is the Pumpkin Spice Cafe that we did for November. So,
Well, now I'm gonna have to buy a copy.
Yeah.
So,
Oh God, she's gonna do it live.
yeah. Cover page here.
It's gorgeous.
How cute!
Look at that.
Oh my Lord.
How cute!
That's adorable.
So, yeah, basically any book that we really like, I feel like all of our top 5s need to get this. I feel like all of our book club books need to get this. And we just build our library up with our books.
That would be a good.
Life flashed before our eyes. Darlene Smith has kicked us out. We've been scolded.
I can get it.
So scared.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ben.
No problem.
Thank you.
I can't see everything that happened, so what all fell?
And thankfully just the book, but it got right
one.
around the glasses.
But
I
it
thought it
hit
was
all
close to
4
those.
cups.
it hit all 4 cups over there.
4?
Yeah, 2 coffee cups, 2.
Y'all just got them all there. I put mine nice and neatly in the floor like a civilized person.
All right, so I'm Hannah.
I'm Allie.
I'm Casey.
And since this is our first day back, or our first episode of the new year, we are going over our top 5s of 2024 as a whole.
And we didn't record but from August to December.
Yes.
So a lot of these we may not have talked about on here, which obviously some of them we will have, but maybe not all of them.
Oh, yeah.
New material.
I am so excited to...
I got excited.
No, stay excited. That's the point. So, I was a little bit extra, and I have my stats from the year.
Okay.
Did either of you guys do that?
No.
What,
I can
your
skip
stats?
it. Yeah, I can skip it if we don't want to.
I didn't know that was a choice.
Go in depth. I happened to think about it this morning.
What are the stats? Where do I find stats?
Well,
See,
I had
my
to go
problem
through my
is-
Goodreads list and
Why are we not friends on Goodreads?
I don't want you all to judge me.
do friends on Goodreads.
I'm only friends
Just
with
kidding.
Kat on Goodreads.
I don't know how to do it.
How do I befriend people?
Yeah, I've tried, and I can't figure it
Friends.
out.
I have no friends. That sounds right.
So yeah, I went through this morning and I went through my Goodreads for the year, and I found where my uptick began for the year. Yeah, it was definitely around this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy crap. Yeah, give us your details.
Okay, so my total for the year was 86. so far. I do plan on finishing at least a couple more. January was 5, February was 5, March was 6, April was 4, May was 1, June was 6, July was 4, and then August was 8, September 13, October 13, November 14, December so far 7. So
Holy crap.
And we're halfway through the month.
I kicked it into overdrive there once we started this podcast.
You did.
I'm doing my research. That's
How
what
many
I'm doing.
rereads? I see you have that down there.
Yes, 27 rereads. Well, you got to think about it.
I never reread.
Audible, where I travel so much, if I were to buy new books every single time, that would get expensive. So I get a hankering for rereads sometimes. So I just use that as an
I
opportunity.
very rarely reread, and if I reread, it is it is audiobook.
Usually.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah.
except
So,
I will read When the Moon Hatched.
yeah.
So
You said
it's
you were
like
going to
stuff
be doing
like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm like
So-
you. I very rarely will, and I think I've only ever done it maybe once or twice.
Now,
It's
Gotcha.
rare.
every 2 or 3 years, I read To Kill a Mockingbird.
I need to do that. I actually did finally read that one,
So
and it was
nice.
good. It
So
was
good.
good.
So how many did you read for the year?
Well, my goal for the year was 30.
Nice.
Yeah. I have already read 32.
Heck yes. Go, girl.
And I'm probably going to finish at least 2 more before the year's
Nice.
up, because I'm in the throes of 2.
Good. I can feel a
This
slump
is as
coming
of
on.
December 14th, by the way.
Yes, this is December 14th that we're recording this. So we have a little over, 16 days to,
Yeah. We have about 2
complete.
weeks. It's
Yeah.
probably
a little over 2
easy
weeks.
to read at least 2 more,
Yeah.
I'd say.
One a
With
week.
everything going on.
Yeah. Depends on the medium that
Yeah.
you're using.
Yeah.
But how many did you read for the year?
Had 78
Solid.
books.
Y'all make me sick.
My Goodreads says 33 though. So
Oh,
Y'all make me sick.
I was on maternity
you.
leave this year.
that's true.
I was on maternity
Girl,
leave this year.
my reading goal last year was only like 24, and I was on maternity leave.
That's okay. That is okay. The whole point is everybody's got their
I-
own reading speeds.
I
Everybody's got
want to
their own
have another
goals.
baby because I used to sit there and read my books to her. She would be sitting in her little bouncy chair and I would read. to
You know,
her.
this time you'll have a baby and toddler, so I don't know how much of that'll work as well as
Daycare.
it did the first time.
Right.
Daycare.
Right.
Find us on Goodreads.
Yes.
Find us on Goodreads. I think I'm just Allie Alt.
I'll figure mine out, and I'll put all of ours up here. La, la,
Go
la,
find
la,
us on
la.
Goodreads. Find out what we're reading.
Yes.
Our ratings.
And then you have the inside scoop on the debriefs.
Yes.
Your
And you
rate-
can track how many times, if you want to watch real closely, I change my ratings over the course of a month.
Yeah.
I go back, I'll rate it, I'm like, that was 5 stars. And then I'll wait like 2 days and I'm like, was that really?
Well, honestly-
I felt this way about A Court This Cruel and Lovely. I gave it 5
Really?
stars, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't think it was worth the 5 stars.
I got
You get a 4. You get a 4.
Yeah,
I
it was
gotcha.
still good. It was still great.
Right.
But I
Right.
remember I was like, it's 5 stars. It's so good. But it was because it had a crazy plot twist at the end.
Yeah.
Which
and I
is
was like,
awesome. Right.
this is fantastic.
Right.
And I'm like, well,
It's so
I was kind
funny.
of bored throughout the rest of the book.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's funny how when you're in the book, you're
Yes.
all in.
Yeah.
And then when you
Yes.
leave, you're like, maybe it wasn't as memorable as I thought
Right.
it
You
was.
kinda
So
have to
on
let
one
it
of my
stew.
top 5 books of this year, I gave it a 3.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. I
But
only chose for
I-
my 5 stars, but it's because I go back and edit them later.
I read it in June or July. I have not been able to stop thinking about it.
Huh.
So
I'm excited to get to it.
Yes. So let's get to it. So I do have a couple honorable mentions I want to go ahead and get out of the way because I was making this list. I was going through my Goodreads.
Checking it twice.
And yes. It is that time of year. I am Santa Claus. My honorable mentions are Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney.
so good.
Yes.
I read that
and-
last year, though. So.
Yeah. And then The Stupidest Angel by Christopher Moore, which I just read for the Christmas Rex. Those are my 2 honorable mentions of the year.
Yeah.
It was in my list. Those were the only 2 that weren't picked to
Yeah.
go on.
I
So,
do have a couple of honorable mentions myself.
what you got?
Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. That one, it made me cry. It didn't crack the top 5, but it's an honorable mention.
Right.
And I also had Book Lovers by Emily Henry.
Really?
I really liked it.
Oh,
it was a cheesy one.
Was just a little shy.
A little too cheesy.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Allie, did you have any ones that they didn't make it but almost could have?
Quicksilver.
Oh, by Callie Hart?
Quicksilver, yes.
Quicksilver by Callie Hart. That is a good honorable mention.
It was very, very good. I had a hard time picking 5. So
really,
I would love for you to zoom in on me talking into my coffee right then. There are lots of things to choose from.
Let me make sure. Let me go through and make sure. The It Girl by Ruth Ware.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that solidifies it. I'm buying it. It keeps not being available at our library on Libby.
Yeah.
If Allie thinks it's that good, it's
Right.
an
It's
honorable
very, very
mention.
good.
Right.
I should just do it.
It's Ruth Ware.
Right.
It's Ruth Ware.
It's Ruth Ware.
Yeah, I should.
So I guess I do kind of have a little bit of a organized list because I just finished Fourth Wing last night. I don't, in my opinion right now, it is number 1 of this year, but I don't want to do that being that I just finished it last night. So I'm going to put it at 5.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
you know,
I've
read
that.
78 books this year. So.
Yeah. I respect that.
So 20-year-old Violet Sorrengail was supposed to enter the scribe quadrant, living a quiet life among books and history. Now, the commanding general, also known as her toughest Talon's mother, has ordered Violet to join the hundreds of candidates striving to become the elite of Navarre, dragon riders. But when you're smaller than everyone else and your body is brittle, death is only a heartbeat away, because dragons don't bond to fragile humans, they incinerate them. With fewer dragons willing to bond than cadets, most would kill Violet to better their own chances of success. The rest would kill her just for being her mother's daughter, like Xaden Ryerson, the most powerful and ruthless wing leader in the Riders Quadrant. She'll need every edge her wits can give her just to see the next sunrise. Yet, with every day that passes, the war outside grows more deadly. The kingdom's protective wards are failing, and the death toll continues to rise. Even worse, Violet begins to suspect leadership is hiding a terrible secret. Friends, enemies, lovers, everyone at Basquiat War College has an agenda, because once you enter, there are only 2 ways out: graduate or die. I didn't realize whenever they said a dragon without its rider.
Don't say too much. I know what you're talking about.
I
want her to
I
read
didn't
it.
think it was that serious. I thought it was kind of. I thought it was like, you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I thought it was just kind of like, oh, if your dragon goes down, you are unprotected. There's no way that you're making it.
That one scarred us all.
Yeah.
That one scarred us all. We are scarred.
You got to read it.
We're very angry.
I should make notes now, because the things going through my head, I doubt are actually what happens.
She said, watch what you said.
Yeah.
Watch your mouth.
Watch your mouth, or I'll watch it for you.
Ooh. Fight.
This changed my entire personality.
Exactly.
I am like, I love it. I started Iron Flame last night, and
Nice.
Onyx Storm comes out in January. I am pre-ordering the Kindle version, so that way I
Gotcha.
can have all the books on my Kindle shelf. So
I like it. I respect
so yeah,
it.
that's my number 5.
That's a good choice. That's a good I read those for the first time last. Oh yeah, that's another thing. We are not. All of these are fresh reads, not rereads. Because I said, I could easily put that on my list, but I read it last year.
Yeah,
I could easily put Harry Potter back on my list, but I read that years ago.
Just first read 2024.
Yes. So, but I respect that choice being on your. Yes, I'm so excited.
Yes, it is
to
my
talk
first
about this
read.
one. All right, so you want to go with your number 5?
Sure.
All right.
Number 5 for the year for me was All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I'm still probably pronouncing it wrong. From August 26th to September 1st. Nice. So this would be in our our September
Yes.
reading debrief.
Yes, it was in the September
Yes.
one.
So, unless you all would like to, we can just either
Did you
click
have any
back.
additional notes that you wanted to?
I just loved how the story played out and how the twists and turns that happen in it. It's very sweet. It's definitely a cry book,
Gotcha.
but I mean, it was just beautiful.
Did you ever get to watch the TV show?
I didn't.
Okay.
I'm a slacker. Sorry.
No, I mean, hey, I started 15 minutes and I was
Yeah.
like,
That's
"Uh-uh."
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I didn't even get to Mark Ruffalo.
So you're good.
Anyways.
So, and you said, yes, so that is all of her notes and everything on that is in the September reading debrief.
Yes.
Go back and
Previous
listen.
Yeah, go back and listen and you'll get the full rundown.
That was my birthday month.
Yes,
So,
it was. Yes, it was. Oh, yeah, we went through a lot of books that month.
yeah, I saw
did.
that you had in September, you had 13 books.
Yes.
So her whole month was September 13th.
Yes.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
my whole month is September 13th.
Exactly.
Really?
Yes.
That is my birth month.
Yes.
Birth Hello Thankmas.
Yes. We're almost at the end and we have to wait another 9 months.
I know. All right, so my number 5, it's Scythe by Neil Schusterman. This
Like
is
a scythe, like the weapon
The
or
weapon.
the farming tool, I guess, is what it's typically
was
supposed to be
thinking-
used for.
the synopsis is Thou shalt kill. A world with no hunger, no disease, no war, no misery. Humanity has conquered all those things and has even conquered death. Now, scythes are the only ones who can end life, and they are commanded to do so in order to keep the size of the population under control. Citra and Rowan are chosen to apprentice to a scythe, a role that neither wants. These teens must master the art of taking life, knowing that the consequence of failure could mean losing their own.
You have a theme with apprenticing.
Apparently. No, this one is, I mean, just like I said, a world where everybody lives for as long as they want, except that these scythes choose people to die so that it stays under control. Everybody is ruled by this AI, which was like, I read this. Let me check.
While she's looking at that, I want to comment that I love that the cover art is a Grim Reaper with a
Yes.
scythe. That's awesome.
Yes,
I love
the
that.
cover art is a Grim Reaper with a scythe. I read this in February 15th to February 20th. And
Not a good Valentine's Day, it seems like.
I was
Contemplating
really,
murder right afterwards.
I was really thinking about getting my husband something real special for Valentine's Day. No,
It's what he's always wanted.
He's asked for this, okay? No, but so it was like right before the AI like really blew up. You know, this is the year where, I mean, they've been dabbling in the AI stuff,
Yeah.
you know, for a while, but this is the year I feel like where it has just amped up
Take
a
it
level.
off, yeah.
So I read this right before then. And because of how much it's blown up since then, I recommend this to everybody. Because it's like, if you want to see a scenario where
Here's
AI
one.
takes over, here's a good story for
Yeah.
you. This is the sci-fi one that I probably wouldn't have picked up if a family friend hadn't recommended it. He had already read it and he was like, hey, you should check this out. And I did, and I was hooked. Now, what I will say, the first 2 books were fantastic. It's Scythe and Thunderhead. The third one is The Toll.
Okay.
It's I really liked all of the, like they made so many puns, and it was like, this guy's nickname was The Toll, and he was parked under a bridge. So it was like the
yeah.
toll troll under the bridge type thing. It had little snippets like that
Yeah.
were humorous. But overall, it kind of went a little bit down for me. And then there's a side book that has some extra, the killings they call gleanings. And this little side story is extra gleanings, like significant gleanings throughout history. And it just...
I'd hate
So-
to know I was an insignificant gleaner.
I want to be documented. If I'm dying,
Right?
if I'm dying, it better be for something.
be an insignificant one, though. But I would hate it. But I would be.
But yeah, so it was. I like I said, I recommend this to anybody who's interested in any kind of AI stuff and any kind of sci-fi dystopian type stuff. This is
So it sounds like it also has some humor in it.
Oh yeah. It's got some. I rated this a 5 out of 5. The overall is 4.32.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Okay.
yeah, it's very good. I recommend it. So that's my number 5. So what's your number 4, Allie?
I guess I'm going to go ahead and say The No Show by Beth O'Leary. This is the one that I only rated it a 3-star on Goodreads.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I have not been able to stop thinking about it.
But it cracks your top 5, but it was only 3 stars.
That is crazy.
But I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. Like, I rated it 3 stars at the time.
Okay,
Yeah.
but is it like good thoughts that you have about
Yes.
it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I haven't been able to stop thinking about, like, the plot. I don't know. Like,
I still think about Song of Achilles from time to time, but I hated that book.
yeah.
Like it's just like
No,
little
it's good.
pretty snippets.
It's good thinking. Like, I'm
Okay.
like, oh, that was so cool how they did that.
Okay.
You know?
I respect
So,
You might want to edit your
yeah.
star rating if you've continued to ponder on it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
be like
I
me
think
and go back and be like,
I
you know
should.
what? You were a 4.
I only have 3 friends on Goodreads, so does it really matter what I rated it on Goodreads?
Hey,
I'm one of those
we
friends
are,
now, so
we
it
are
matters.
putting it out there
That's
for
very
people
true. That's
to
very true.
add
All
us.
readers
So-
matter.
Well, now they know that I may have rated it a good 3 at the time, but it's still top 5 of the year. So, 3 women who seemingly have nothing in common find that they're involved with the same man in this smart new rom-com by Beth O'Leary, best-selling author of The Flat Share. I cannot pronounce this name. Siobhan, Siobhan. Siobhan is a quick-tempered life coach with way too much on her plate. Miranda is a tree surgeon used to being treated as just one of the guys on the job. Jane is a soft-spoken volunteer for the local charity shop with 0 sense of self-worth. These 3 women are strangers who have only one thing in common. They've all been stood up on the same day, the very worst day to be stood up, Valentine's Day, and unbeknownst to them, they've all been stood up by the same man. Once they've forgiven him for standing them up, they are all in serious danger of falling in love with a man who may have not just 1 or 2, but 3 women on the go. Is there more to him than meets the eye? Where was he on Valentine's Day? And will they each untangle the truth before they all get their hearts broken?
Okay. I actually really like that synopsis.
It's so cute.
I'd like to say that I like that Allie likes this book because it sounds exactly like the plot of an episode of Golden Girls. Because Blanche tries to marry a guy early on and the police come back and go, he's been arrested for polygamy. He has 3 wives in other states. So I'm like, wow, this does sound like Allie.
See, I thought of The Other Woman. Is it The Other Woman?
Yes, I
one
love
of your
that
favorite
movie.
movies?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought of that. It is
I've just
so
watched that episode of Golden Girls.
cute. I love Golden
It
Girls
sounds
too.
really cute.
It's very cute.
I'm gonna have to add that
Yeah.
to my TBR.
Yeah.
For those who judge them.
From what I remember. No spice from
Okay.
what I remember. So.
Okay. Nice.
So if you're looking for that, I ain't your
Sorry.
girl.
Doesn't seem
It's not one of those
Today.
cartoon covers.
Today. I'm not your girl today.
Right. Check back in. We'll get back on.
Wow.
our reg-
We've gotten 4 books in and we don't really have any spice.
Yeah. That's what I'm
We're
saying,
not very
man.
spicy right now.
No.
No.
Spice doesn't linger.
Fourth
though.
Wing has spice.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
does
yeah,
it?
yeah.
I've
yeah.
not read it. Sorry.
Oh, Fourth Wing.
Oh,
Oh.
So I
those
should-
thunderstorms are next
there-
level. So yeah, you need to read these, especially before January 21st when the 3rd one comes out. All right. So what is your number 4, my dear?
Number 4, suggested by Allie. The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins
So
Reid.
cute. I love
It was
so
my
good.
heartbreak.
Side
Breaking.
note, January 13th through the 22nd when I read it, it was my first book of the year. I started off on a good note.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love it.
Awesome. Oh, that's such a good book. It is such a good book.
I love the saying, how do you feel about being like only being known for the 7 husbands? And she's like, well, they're just the husbands. I'm Evelyn Hugo.
The best line ever.
I want to
she
have that thought process.
Yes.
She ate.
Here's the synopsis, though, because
Yes.
we've not talked about this book on the podcast, but we've all talked about
Yes,
it. Have
yes,
you read it as well,
yes,
right?
yeah.
So,
Let's hear it.
aging and reclusive Hollywood movie icon Evelyn Hugo is finally ready to tell the truth about her glamorous and scandalous life. But when she chooses unknown magazine reporter Monique Grant for the job, no one is more astounded than Monique herself. Why her? Why now? Monique is not exactly on top of the world. Her husband has left her, and her professional life is going nowhere. Regardless of why Evelyn has selected her to write her biography, Monique is determined to use this opportunity to jumpstart her career. Summoned to Evelyn's luxurious apartment, Monique listens in fascination as the actress tells her story from making her way to Los Angeles in the 1950s to her decision to leave show business in the 80s, and of course, the 7 husbands along the way. Evelyn unspools a tale of ruthless ambition, unexpected friendship, and a great forbidden love. Monique begins to feel a very real connection to the legendary star, but as Evelyn's story nears its conclusion, it becomes clear that her life intersects with Monique's own in tragic and irreversible ways.
I love it.
It was such a good story, though.
Yes.
I loved all the twists and turns, because you never were fully sure what was going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
It kept you on your toes, that's
yes.
for sure.
That was a book that I read in an entire day. It only took me one day to read.
Did it?
Yeah.
I mean, mine's only 8 days. That's really
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
pretty
wow.
quick for me, especially in January.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you didn't even have a 1-year-old yet.
No,
Yeah.
he was a screaming little nightmare at that moment. Love you. You were rough that
You're
month.
so much better.
Yes.
You are so much better now. But this was such a good read. I just love how detailed they are about their lives, and it feels like you were really there.
Yes.
I also did enjoy afterwards getting on TikTok and seeing all of the theories that this is about Taylor Swift. Do I believe them? No.
No.
But is it nice to think about? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Of course.
Love that. Love that.
All right. Who was your number 4 of the year?
My number 4 was Pen Pal by Nathan Auerbach. Yeah.
So good.
Caleb read it yet?
No.
Okay. Okay.
He's a slacker.
That's okay. That's okay. It's a busy time of year. Granted, he's had 3 months, but
It's
tell him to
always
get
a
on
busy
it.
time of year in his head.
Right. So we have talked about this one briefly, but I don't think we've read the synopsis. So I'm going to read the synopsis real fast. Pen Pal began as a series of short and interconnected stories posted on an online horror forum. Before long, it was adapted into illustrations, audio recordings, and short films. And that was before it was revised and expanded into a novel. How much do you remember about your childhood? In Pen Pal, a man investigates the seemingly unrelated, bizarre, tragic, and horrific occurrences of his childhood in an attempt to finally understand them. Beginning with only fragments of his earliest years, you'll follow the narrator as he discovers that these strange and horrible events are actually part of a single, terrifying story that has shaped the entirety of his life and the lives of those around him. If you've ever stayed in the woods just a little too long after dark, if you've ever had the feeling that someone or something was trying to hurt you, if you remember the first friend you ever made and how strong that bond was, then Pen Pal is a story that you won't soon forget, despite how you might try. Wow. I
Yeah.
loved this book. I rated it 5 out of 5. The overall is surprisingly only 3.85.
That's crazy.
I figured it would be higher.
Yeah.
Like, this was such a good book. It gives you that... We talked about it on the spooky episode. It gives you that somebody's watching you.
Yes.
Somebody is like right there, breathing, just out of hearing range. You know, like it's so creepy. We are on to number 3. Allie, what's your
Okay.
number 3? You think?
Assistant to the villain. We've already
Nice.
read.
Yes.
Number 3, assistant, and I put / apprentice to
So
the villain.
Apprentice
Nice.
to the
I
villain
went ahead and
wasn't it
lumped
for
them
me.
because to me it's just one long story.
You're right.
Yes.
So I don't feel like I can
Yes.
disconnect
Exactly.
the 2 to
Yeah.
rank them because
Exactly.
it's too much of a later on that same day. moment.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
assistant, but also apprentice. is
Yes.
Legion.
Yeah, Apprentice goes in with it. I loved Assistant to the Villain. I really liked Apprentice to the Villain. I just wouldn't put it on my
Yeah,
top 5.
I definitely
That's so
ranked
weird.
assistant higher than apprentice.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
for the top 5, it's one continuous story to me. So they
Right.
they both share number 3.
Yeah,
Right.
I think if they would have, if her and what's his name? I can't even remember his name right now.
Tristan?
Yes.
Okay, I was like, you weren't the main
if they
people?
would have actually gotten together, I think that would have really bumped it up for me because it just feels like it's just dragging that on. Personally,
I like it. I just go
love
ahead and read smut in between them. Yeah, read Assistant to the Villain, read a super schmutty book, and then read Apprentice to the Villain, and you go back to the build.
Yes.
Okay, but yeah, Assistant to the Villain, we have already
Yes.
read, Help Wanted. You
Yes.
get it.
We've talked about this plenty of times.
Yes.
So if you need a refresher, basically go to any other episode and we're likely talking about
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
I love Evie Sage.
Yes.
I love
You are Evie
Kingsley.
Sage.
I love it. I love the humor in it. That
Yes.
is just like
I love that.
yes.
I also love following Hannah Nicole Mayer
Yes.
on TikTok.
She is hilarious.
She is. Oh my gosh. One of the first few authors, I was like, I'm going to follow you.
Yes.
You're nice.
I
like
love
you.
her. I
We can be
love her.
friends.
Yes.
And she's a
please.
Swiftie.
and she's a Swiftie.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good solid 3.
Yeah.
Wait,
That was my
your
number 3.
too?
Yes.
Oh,
That we
nice.
ranked them the same.
That
That's
is
hilarious.
awesome. That is
Now, I
awesome.
read Assistant to the Villain in February 19th through the 26th, but then we
Yes.
did Apprentice when it came out.
Yes.
And I did it September 1st through the 13th.
I read it in January, I guess.
Did you?
Because I read it first, and
And
then
I-
I told you all about it, and I was like, you all have
Yes.
got to read
Yes.
this.
This is
Yeah.
one of the faster ones we jumped on that you've suggested.
Yeah,
I think
honestly,
I read
yeah.
it right after Pen Pal because I finished Pen
needed
Pal and I
something
needed
funny.
yeah.
You needed happy.
Yes.
No.
Punny.
I finished it right after Empire of Storms. Or I read it right after Empire of Storms because I wanted to stay with my fantasy
Oh.
because I
Okay.
didn't have Tower of Dawn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe nothing you say.
So it was during the snowstorm that we got.
Okay.
Oh,
gotcha.
okay.
Gotcha. All right. So my number 3 was The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie O. This is the only time that I have listened to something and then immediately turned around and bought a physical copy. I
Yes,
don't do that.
I remember that. You did an unboxing.
Yes, I don't do that with books because it's like I've already, which I did listen to it on Libby, so, and that was the cheapest option to get it like on my physical shelf. But usually, even if it's on Libby, unless I just like, that's the thing. I've never had one on Libby where I'm like, I have to get the
Yeah, you didn't need a trophy for that one.
Right. I needed this one. And oh gosh, it was so good. I read it September 25th through the 26th. I gave it a 5
Quick.
out of 5. Oh yeah. I gave it a 5 out of 5. It's got 4.1 overall. And we've already talked about this on the September reading debrief. So if you are interested in hearing the synopsis, go back to that episode.
What kind of genre are we
So,
talking about?
So the best way I can describe it, it's like a Chinese parable.
Okay.
The entire
Oh.
story reads like a Chinese parable. She is getting sacrificed to this sea. Well, she takes the place of this other girl that's going to be sacrificed to the sea god because that other girl is her brother's love, and so she sacrifices herself instead.
Yeah.
And that was not on the plan, so they have to go about and like. In the sea, she has to like go about and make herself worthy of that sacrifice and of being the sacrifice, and it's a beautiful growing journey for the Sea King, and it's gosh, it has stayed with me. I don't know how to explain how that made me feel because I just felt everything in that book.
Yeah.
Everything. It was so good. So I highly recommend that one. That's the one that I said changed even my top 3 ever.
Yeah.
For me. Like if I had read this sooner, it would have been on my top 3.
Yeah.
Of the
I'll
original
definitely have to
episode.
give it a shot.
Yeah,
I'll
it
It looks
definitely
like a
have to
pretty
give it
quick
shot.
read too. It's
Oh,
only
yeah.
325 pages.
Oh yeah.
so-
Yeah. Quick read. So on to number 2.
Top 2.
Top
So
2,
excited.
top 2. I feel like I'm kind of cheating with my top 2. I feel like I'm kind of cheating because I want to put all of the Kristen Hannah books that I read this month. I mean,
Okay.
this year.
Okay.
The Four Winds, The Nightingale, and The Women.
Yes.
I've not read them, so I guess I can't judge.
I'm not
I've
judging.
been apprentice and assistant.
Yeah, I feel like that's they have similar vibes.
Yes.
You're just putting an author in the
I don't
want
to go
Kristen
through.
Hannah.
Yeah. Kristen Hannah.
Yes.
Kristen Hannah
is number 2.
This was the year of Kristen Hannah for me. In fact, I have The Great Alone on my TBR for this month. So, this is the year of Kristen Hannah. I read Firefly Lane 2 years ago. I don't know. I read it in Charleston, and I was like, man, this ruined my trip.
I'm crying. I'm on the beach, and I'm crying.
But so I was like, oh, okay, this is good. Firefly Lane is like, if Firefly Lane is here, the women is here, the Four Winds is here, and Nightingale, yeah, I can't even touch.
It's in the stratosphere.
Yes.
I gotcha.
Yes. If you ever need a good cry, Kristen Hannah is your go-to. The Four Winds is the first one I read this year. Isla was sick, so it was April, beginning of April, which was talking about the Dust Bowl.
Yes.
Then in July, it was before the pod. So I think in July I read The Nightingale, which is just, it's over World War II, and it is the worst thing.
But also the best.
Thing. And then in November, I read The Women, which is over Vietnam War. So I'm just going to put Kristen Hannah as my number 2 for this year.
Yes.
So all of hers is historical fiction.
Yes,
right?
historical fiction.
Yeah. I loved All the Light You
Lane.
Cannot See, so I definitely have those on my TBR.
Oh, get ready.
I just don't know how many I could handle
Oh,
Right.
at a time. So I've definitely been
Save-
delaying maybe 6 months.
Start
between
with The
them.
Women first.
The Women?
Start with The Women first.
Okay.
Because
I
it
was
has
wondering, 'cause
more of
Nightingale
a...
is closest to being ready. But then you were saying it's up here, and I don't want to go from here
Yeah.
and come back to normal.
Right.
Yeah. Or maybe you do, so that way it's not that much
Maybe
of a...
that's true.
Not as
It's
jarring.
heartbreak. It's heartbreak, not necessarily favorite.
Yeah.
Like in the stratosphere.
Maybe I do want to get it over with, like
Yeah.
a Band-Aid.
Yeah, just rip it off.
Rob.
I was so sick to my stomach reading that. Oh my god, it was just
I'm
I
staying
couldn't
away.
breathe. I don't want to spoil it for you.
Just so sad.
Yeah. What was your number 2?
Number 2. Allie already put it in her honorable mentions, but it was Quicksilver by Callie Hart.
Yes.
I chose that one off TikTok, but I love it.
Yes.
I read it from August 1st through the 11th. Here's the official synopsis of Quicksilver. Do not touch the sword. Do not turn the key. Do not open the gate. In the land of the unforgiving desert, there isn't much a girl wouldn't do for a glass of water. 24-year-old Sarah Scythe is good at keeping secrets. No one knows about the strange power she possesses or the fact that she's been picking pockets and stealing from the Undying Queen's reservoirs for as long as she can remember. But a secret is like a knot. Sooner or later, it is bound to come undone. When Sarah Scythe is face to face with death himself, she inadvertently reopens a gateway between realms and is transported to a land of ice and snow. The Fae have always been the stuff of myth, of legend, of nightmares. But it turns out they're real, and Saris has landed herself right in the middle of a centuries-long conflict that might just get her killed. The first of her kind to treat the frozen mountains of Gavelia
I think that's right.
in over 1,000 years, Saris mistakenly bonds herself to Kingfisher, a handsome Fae warrior, who has secrets and nefarious agendas of his own. He will use her alchemist's magic to protect his people no matter what it costs him or her. Death has a name. It is Kingfisher of the Ajun Gate. His past is murky, his attitude stinks, and he's the only way Saris is going to make it home. Be careful of the deals you make, dear child. The devil is in the details. I loved that book.
So good.
I think it's going to be an amazing series.
I do
I
too.
have very good high hopes for this.
I do too.
I love the romance. I really love the world.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, it's
Very
very detailed.
interesting
We only
world.
had one character I even was like, I want more, and they just kind of appear out of nowhere.
Right.
But I think that can be remedied.
Yes.
It does have a lot of good prospects going on.
Right.
They're very good with the characters.
Yes.
They've built them up.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love them. Mm-hmm. I can't remember all their names, but I love them.
Right,
I
right.
can't remember my real friends' names either sometimes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But it's so good.
It really is.
Yes.
So good.
It really is.
I also love that I can kind of see where the possibly, I assume 3 books will be coming from.
Right.
Just, it's very open. I don't know. If you want to dip your toe in fantasy with a smidge bit of smut, is it a smidge? Is there more smut? Am I misremembering?
I think it's a
spicy.
smudge more than a smidge.
It's a smudge. Yeah. Smudge is a good descriptor. Good job. Yeah.
It's got some spice.
It's got some spice. Yeah. Mom, skip over a couple of things. But if you like fantasy or
Mom isn't into
step
fantasy,
into it.
so every time I try to read her, I try to get her to read
Mine's
something.
not much either,
Get there,
but
Gwen.
she's only
Get
tried
there.
one, so
I said
she
you
might
gotta
test another.
I said you got to try the romanices first because that's kind of
Yes.
what got me into
yes,
fantasy.
yes.
For sure.
Akotar.
I was about to say, is ACOTAR considered romantic?
Romantic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is more fantasy romance.
Yeah.
Right.
Whenever fantasy is, I think they're talking more of like The Hobbit, Game of Thrones, even though there's some scenes in Game of Thrones.
All right. Good choice on your number 2
Yeah.
on your list.
Number 1 is hidden.
All right. So my number 2 is okay, this right here. This book right here is why I wanted to wait until the very last minute to do this episode.
Yeah.
I read this week.
Okay.
And
So you pulled a fourth wing with me.
Oh my gosh. And it will
couldn't
not
do
be
that.
moving.
I could not commit to that.
I'm
I
committed.
get such reader's blinders.
Oh no.
Oh,
Not
Lord.
with this one. This one was out of this world. I cannot wait
Pulling
to
up
discuss it
Goodreads
in
right
the,
now. I'm going to add it immediately.
Yes, it is called Under the Magnolias.
Oh,
by
okay.
T.I. Lowe. Have you read it?
No, you were talking about it
Yes.
yesterday on Snapchat.
Yes. This right here.
Under the magnolia tree or under the magnolias?
Under the
Magnolias.
Magnolias.
There should be a girl on the cover
Yes.
with her blonde flowy hair.
Yes. Wow. I don't have reader's blindness from this. I promise you I don't. This one is going to be sticking with me. It is a new part of my top 3 individual books. It is.
Jeez
Wow.
Louise,
It
2024 was a big year for you.
Oh my
was.
gosh.
Especially if you've got a
Yes.
number 1 coming.
Yes, there were 2 changes to my top 3 individual books of the year, which we just did in August.
That's crazy.
We just did that
Wow.
at the end of August, and I had 2 changes.
Oh, my Lord.
This one and Girl Who Fell
Okay,
Beneath
give
the
me
Sea.
more. What's it about?
All
I got to
right.
know.
So here's the synopsis for Under the Magnolias. This night not only marked the end to the drought, but also the end to the long-held secret we'd kept hidden under the Magnolias. Magnolia, South Carolina, 1980. Austin Foster is barely a teenager when her mama dies, giving birth to twins, leaving her to pick up the pieces while holding her 6 siblings together and doing her best to stop her daddy from retreating into his personal darkness. Scratching out a living on the family's tobacco farm is as tough as it gets. When a few random acts of kindness help to ease the Fosters' hardships, Austin finds herself relying upon some of Magnolia's most colorful citizens for friendship and more. But it's next to impossible to hide the truth about the goings-on at Nolia Farms, and Austin's desperate attempts to save face all but break her. Just when it seems she might have something more waiting for her, with the son of a wealthy local family who she's crushed on for years, her father makes a choice that will crack wide open the family's secrets and lead to a public reckoning. There are consequences for loving a boy like Vance Cumberland, but there is also freedom in the truth. T.I. Lowe's gritty yet tender and uplifting tale reminds us that a great story can break your heart, then heal it in the best possible way. Oh my gosh! Oh, I cried like a baby. I could not stop. I know I've been emotional this week.
It's a recurring theme this week. It's okay.
I realize that I've cried a lot this week, but this one was like, it was worth it. It earned those tears.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the others didn't really earn it. This one did. Holy cow, guys. I can't wait to talk about this in the December reading debrief.
It's so hard talking about books that we've read this month. I can't decide whether to talk about them now or later.
I know.
I don't have this problem.
I'm going to hold off. But what I will say, is that okay, so I read it Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, so the 10th and the 11th. I gave it 5 stars. It was 4.24 overall. Let me just say that yearning is back in full force. And this book embodies yearning like Pride and Prejudice with the hand. That kind of vibe where he helps her up into the carriage and then has the hand flex as he's walking away. That is yearning. And this is yearning. This matches that energy so much. Oh my gosh. And she takes care of her entire family with these 6 children. And
so is this just a yearning book, or is there smut or spice in it?
No, it's just yearning.
Just yearning.
Yes.
Interesting. I've been looking for a yearning book to go into the new year with.
This is it.
This would be a good one to start with.
As quickly as you can. Please read this. It's Christian fiction. But here's the thing. That I want to put across now is that it is not like typical Christian fiction. It is, because, there's always that little bit of cringiness that comes from Christian fiction. This does not have that. It is just beautiful writing. It's a beautiful story of healing and growth and responsibilities and I've
never said responsibilities like that.
I know.
Responsibilities. I usually say it more like Angelica from the Rugrats. I got responsibilities.
Yes, but she just it's beautiful, and I don't know how to describe it, but it has changed my brain chemistry. It is the factory reset button that I needed. I actually had a 30-minute phone call with my aunt and my cousin last night because I could not hold it in, and nobody else has read it except for them. So I messaged Kate or Sherry last night, and I was like, or yesterday morning, and I was like, I need to have a discussion about this book so bad. Can we please have a call tonight? And she was like, let me get Casey in on it too. And I was like, yes, 100%. So here it was 9:15 at night, and we were having this conversation while I was doing laundry, and I was like shaking. I was so excited to finally talk about it. Sarah and Mom are going to be reading it. Hopefully you guys are going to be able to read it, and we're going to just... you're going to see what I'm talking about, because here's the last thing I'll say about it. And then we'll move on. Okay, so typically with the Christian romances as well, it's usually like bigger churches and stuff, right? However, this one is so our church is coded. It's so coded like our churches. It's the little close-knit, tight, everybody knows everybody. Yeah, nobody's perfect, but we're all here to support each other, and like they reference hymns that we know and stuff, like which hardly ever happens in those other the Christian books, because it's more contemporary. Not bagging on that at all, obviously, but it did feel more personal.
I felt like it was wrote just for you.
Yes, that's exactly how it felt. It was wrote just for me, and I can't wait for you guys to. I can't wait for you guys to read it. So please put it on your list.
It's going to be the Smith Family Book Club +2.
Right? Oh, yeah. I got to tell Mom and Sarah that they got to get it done before our Smith family get-together on January 5th, because Sherry and Casey are like, we're going to have another discussion with it
we gotta
with
talk.
Darlene and Sarah, because we all have to talk about this. So, yes. All right, so that was number 2 for me.
God, that was number 2.
Ding, 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 ding. We're at number 1.
So I did have an honorable mention that I forgot to talk. And this is controversial for you.
Okay.
The Measure.
I liked it.
It was
Measure. Definitely a 4-star.
Honorable mention.
I kept my top 5 to 5 stars, but that was definitely a 4-star.
I loved it. I thought it was so sweet. It did give me anxiety, so beware of that. But my number 1 book of the year is Educated by Tara Westover.
Still not read it.
It's so good. It kickstarted my memoir reading, because also this year I read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. I read Paris by Paris Hilton.
Sorry.
What just happened?
I don't know. I just forgot how to breathe, I guess, for a second.
Oh my God. Don't do
I thought
that.
you were commenting something about Jeanette McCurdy.
Well,
Jeanette
I've
McCurdy's
got to read that one. That one
it's so
sounds
good.
amazing.
It's so good.
And then shout out to the Paris Hilton one. You were very
Yes.
passionate
Yes,
about
I was
that
very
one.
passionate about Paris Hilton. It's like you forget that these people are real people.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me read the synopsis of this and then I'll tell
Yes.
you kind of because you got to read it to, or you got to understand what's happening.
Okay.
Born to survivalists in the mountains of Idaho, Tara Westover was 17 the first time she set foot in a classroom. Her family was so isolated from mainstream society that there was no one to ensure the children received an education, and no one to intervene when one of Tara's older brothers became violent. When another brother got himself into college, Tara decided to try a new kind of life. Her quest for knowledge transformed her, taking her over oceans and across continents to Harvard and to Cambridge University. Only then would she wonder if she traveled too far, if there was still a way home. Voted one of the best books of the year by the Washington Post, the Oprah Magazine, Time, NPR, Good Morning America, San Francisco Chronicle, The Guardian, The Economist, Financial Times, Newsday, blah, 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 blah.
And
All
Allie
these.
Alt.
Yes, fantastic. What's crazy about this book is I listened to it.
Okay.
My favorite audiobook actor narrator reads this book. She also reads The Four Winds by Kristen Hannah. She's my favorite.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yes, it's so good. So while I was reading it, I was cooking one day. It was after work, and something is happening in this book. Like she gets injured or some way. Her dad is talking to her, and I'm like, this isn't fiction. Like, and it just clicked. And I was like, this happened in somebody's life. And then also I remember I was telling Erin, I was like, it took me a while to understand because I kind of thought that this happened back in like 60s, 70s. I looked it up. 2000s. Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
cow.
2000s. This was happening in 2000s. She did not have a birth certificate because her parents didn't want. It's crazy. Y'all gotta read it. It kickstarted my memoir. It was crazy.
I'll
So-
have to add that to my...
Very, very good. I believe that you said that you were on hold for it.
Yes,
you kept
multiple
pushing
times.
it back.
I still am.
It's so good. It's so good. And
I
again,
struggle
if
with
it's
memoirs in
audiobook,
general.
Yeah.
if it's an audiobook, that is my favorite audiobook, narrator, actor, whatever you want to call her.
Does she read it herself?
No.
No, she is an actor.
Yeah. So, and she's my favorite one. So, anytime I see her like reading a book, I'm like, oh, I want that.
Right. One of those good voices.
Yes. Yes.
So what was your number one?
Number one for me was None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell.
I remember you talking about
Yes,
that one.
I read this from July 2nd to July 7th, and it is like it's a murder mystery. So here's the synopsis. Lisa Jewell returns with a scintillating new psychological thriller about a woman who finds herself the subject of her own popular true crime podcast. This is a future telling of Allie's life.
I love true crime.
Celebrating her 45th birthday at her local pub, popular podcaster Alex Summers crosses paths with an unassuming woman called Josie Fair. Josie, it turns out, is also celebrating her 45th birthday. They are, in fact, birthday twins. A few days later, Alex and Josie bump into each other, and this time outside Alex's children's school. Josie has been listening to Alex's podcast and thinks she might be an interesting subject for her series. She is, she tells Alex, on the cusp of great changes in her life. Josie's life appears to be strange and complicated, and although Alex finds her unsettling, she can't quite resist the temptation to keep making the podcast. Slowly, she starts to realize that Josie has been hiding some very dark secrets, and before she knows it, Josie has enveloped her way, I don't know why she chose that word, into Alex's life and into her home. But as quickly as she arrived, Josie disappears. Only then does Alex discover that Josie has left a terrible and terrifying legacy in her wake, and that Alex has become the subject of her own true crime podcast. With her life and her family's lives under mortal threat, who is Josie Fair and what has she done? This is the one, I think I said it was the most interesting read. I don't remember. I talked about this in a previous one, though.
It was one of our very
early
what
ones.
one. I
Because
remember
this
you
one
talking
is the
about it though,
one
because I remember birthday twins very
that
vividly.
clicks back and forth between you're listening to snippets of what they say on the podcast, you're listening to
Yes.
things that are happening.
I think it was
and you're
audiobook.
watching the Netflix episode, but you're reading it.
Yeah.
But you're like reading and watching the Netflix episode about this.
I can't remember which one it was. I know it was an early one though.
Yeah.
I know it was early.
It
I
is
think
one
it
of
was
my
the
favorites.
library. I
Welcome
really
to the
did.
library.
Yeah,
Yeah.
library. Yeah. This is one of my favorites because I've continued to question in my mind what has happened at the end of the story.
Nice.
There's no second book to go to. I'm contemplating rereading it just because I have no idea if anything is true. None of this is true.
Right.
Which parts? Do you believe what you hear on the Netflix series? Do you
Right.
believe what you said on the podcast? Or do you believe the recounts from the people that were supposedly there?
Right.
I mean, it's very interesting, very intriguing. I loved the setup from the beginning. I was already into this book. I mean, it only took me 5 days, and I
Nice.
drag books out.
Yeah.
So I was already jumped into it because they're like, hey, we're birthday twins. We're born in the same hospital around the exact same time, and we've lived this close together, and we've never run into each other now. And this lady is, I mean, if she's crazy, she's really good at being crazy. I don't know. And it also feels like anyone could meet these people.
Right.
Like everyone knows somebody like this, but you don't want to know anyone like this at the same time.
Right.
But it's a good thought-provoking one where you're in this mystery and you think, I need to go back and do this again because
I like that.
I think I'm still wrong. I don't know.
Right.
You don't
right.
know. So
You don't
I
know
just
until
love
you-
that.
Yeah.
I don't normally have a mystery thriller that's like, oh, was that it? Usually by the end, you're like, okay, this was the answer.
Right.
Or you're like, that was a stupid ending. That's
you read
really the
Verity
two
yet?
ways to go. No.
You need to.
We're gonna ask you every week.
Every week.
You need to make
It's
it
the new,
happen.
do you have Kindle Unlimited?
Yes, this is the new Kindle Unlimited. Yes.
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 But none of this is true. I suggest
You need to start-
everyone read it so you,
You need
can
to start
discuss it with
asking
me
us
and tell me
random
where I'm
questions
wrong.
once a week.
I love
Bless.
it. I love it.
Yes, but everyone should read it so you can tell me what happened because I'm still unsure. And I
Right.
might do another reread this year. I don't know. I probably will.
Nice. Nice.
So
I like it.
it made my reread books. It had to be number one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. If it's a
because
reread.
that's a very slim list for me.
Okay.
All right. So my number one, and I feel weird now because you guys had this at number 3, was Assistant and Apprentice to the Villain.
It's a good series.
It's a
so
very
fair.
good series.
It was so amazing. And here's the thing that gets me. There were absolutely, and we talked about this, there were absolutely no dull points for me. For me. There were no dull points, no points where I was like, okay, let's get to the next section. There was none of that. I wanted every single second of this book and more.
Yeah.
And so I read it, and I can add this to this list because even though I reread Assistant to the Villain this year, I read it for the first time this
Yes,
year too. So
yes.
the first time was March 13th through the 18th, and then I read it again August 23rd through 28th. And then Apprentice to the Villain was the 28th through the 29th. I gave both of these a 5 out of 5.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's not finished.
Even though all of mine were 5 out of 5s this year for my
Mine
my
too.
top 5.
Mine
so.
too.
Allie over here pulling some 3s out
I
of there for
know,
some
it's
reason.
crazy.
But it sounded like a really cute book.
It is
though,
cute.
So I'm going to check it out. But Assistant.
Oh no, I'm judging that she rated somebody so low and it was her favorite.
I know.
But
That's
at the
rude.
time,
You hurt
I
that
don't
author.
know.
You've hurt their feelings personally.
I know. Sorry, Beth O'Leary. No, at the time I was like, oh, it's a book, but now like it's almost like it took
Yes.
time for it to sink in that
Marinate.
it was like,
Yeah.
oh, this
That
isn't
settled
just a
with
book.
me.
Yeah.
It's different than we're going back to mine.
Back to Hannah. It's because we were doing a backtrack with Assistant to the Villain.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what it was. So I rated both of these a 5 out of 5 on Goodreads. Assistant to the Villain is 3.92 overall. Apprentice is 4.15 overall. So yeah, it just keeps growing.
What?
I cannot
Assistant's
wait.
only 3.92.
I know, crazy, right?
What?
I know.
Yeah, insane.
We're
Assistant is
carrying
so
those
good.
Goodreads reviews then
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
We got you, Hannah Nicole Mayer.
we got you, man. We love you.
And is it Mayor or Mayor?
Yeah.
Please tell me how to say your name.
Please, we love you.
Is
we
it-
want to say your name correctly.
Is it Mayor?
I don't know if Allie's making fun of you. I really can't pronounce it. It sounds like you might be.
We never know with Allie.
It's a genuine question.
Yes.
She's very funny. You can tell
Oh,
just from her
yes.
writing
Hilarious.
style that she's very funny.
Yes, so go
I
follow her
suggest
on
everyone follow her on TikTok.
Yes, Instagram, TikTok, yeah.
Yeah. And follow us.
And follow us while you're at it. But
can share
yeah, so
followers,
this
that's
is
fine.
another one where yearning is back, and I am all for it.
Yeah.
I love yearning. Oh, it's amazing. So my top 2 had yearning in them.
Yeah. I don't like
Yes.
yearning whenever
I
I'm the
love it.
one yearning.
I do.
I'm thinking
I
back
do
to like
too.
single Allie,
yeah.
I guess.
I want
Like
to build.
now.
I loved it.
But now that I'm like married, I'm okay with yearning. But like back whenever I was single and I'm like, I just wish this guy would talk to me. Oh, I'm so glad I don't have to do that anymore.
Oh,
Well, the
that's not the
key-
yearning necessarily that's happening.
The key is the
Oh,
guy
he-
should yearn for you.
That's
Yeah.
very true.
That-
You want to be
that-
chased.
But then they were
That's a good
crazy.
feeling. All right, so that was our first episode of 2025.
Yay!
We've done it, ladies. We're back, baby.
This is where Hannah inserts somebody
We are
playing
back.
Old Lang Syne for us. As we exit out of the scene.
So follow us on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, the Unfinished TBR, YouTube, Spotify. We're posting new content every week.
Sometimes twice a week.
So,
Yeah.
Hey, this is this week was our first mini-sode that we posted last night. So yeah, we might have some mini-sodes coming. So you know what? Might as well subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications from us. We try to post something new across all platforms each day. So
Yeah.
come follow along with us. We love to have you, and tell us what your top 5 of the year were.
Yeah.
We want to add to our TBR.
That's very true.
Always. We also have an email, so email us at theunfinishedtbr@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. Wherever it's at, we want to talk. So we will see you next week.
Yes.
Love you. Have a fantastic week, and Happy New Year,
Happy
babies.
New Year!
Mwah.